My name's Eric Bruen. I'm the CEO for Desert Valleys Federal Credit Union in beautiful Ridgecrest, California. I have been here for now 19 years and I'm raising my family of 4 beautiful children, and I have the special honor of also being the elected mayor for the city of Ridgecrest since 2020. I've had the joy of leading this organization and building it as a community organization, first and foremost, than just a financial organization. And when I say a community organization, I mean that we focus on making sure that we're always active as part of it, either supporting our local community groups, creating member experiences, bringing people in from the outside, making it so Desert Valleys is always at the forefront of trying to serve our community. There's no reason to try and dismantle a well-running business in order to implement new technology, but you can always find areas to bring the technology back into the mold. And so that's what we saw when we were introduced to Zest. We saw this as the perfect first opportunity for us to take analytical intelligence and apply it to our lending process in order to make our members' experience faster, provide better decisioning, and ultimately make loans to our members who may be unqualified under a FICO score, but qualified under a more analytical score. And we've already seen that in our testing in many, many ways. We have a member that we just recently scored on the Zest score, and on the FICO score, they would not have qualified, but on the Zest score, they did. And we actually took the time to understand why, and here's very simply. This person is having some fiscal challenges. They've went through some things in their life, like many of us have, and the FICO score was showing well below 550 and would have normally been excluded from policy. But there's one interesting trend that this person had. They had never failed to pay us on time, and for over 11 loans, they had paid us on time. And the Zest score reflected that. And it didn't bring them all the way up to an 800, right? But it brought them to, you should go ahead and approve this person. It might be a lower dollar amount. It might be a more restrictive type of loan, but this person doesn't fail to pay you. And that's the type of information I think can get lost in non-data driven decisioning. And so what Zest AI is really doing is it's enabling a more data-driven analytical thought process in our loan decisioning that I believe in the long run is going to help us not only produce better loans, but actually be able to fill gaps in where members that really may have had challenges, they may be normally not qualified, but now will be qualified for that opportunity just based on a broader analytical look at that person. Making sure that we're always in compliance with the Fair Credit Act and that we are using good, solid, demographical, data-driven thought processes to make sure that we're not excluding people, we're not redlining, we're not doing any of the stuff. And so what I was excited about is what Zest was bringing to the table was an incredible amount of data-driven analytics over what the time frame and how the score would really look as it relates to both demographical, racial, income profiles, ethnicities, all of those things. I look at it as like, I know that I have a responsibility to be doing the Fair Credit Act. And I believe that my staff is doing it. So, but the problem is I don't have the factual data to back up how my staff is doing it. Now with Zest AI, I've been given another layer of factual data. And I look at that as taking the bullet out of a regulator's gun, because I've disarmed the problem that so many other institutions, especially smaller ones, would really struggle with. And so Zest AI, I think what does by making the complete transition, we are setting, okay, we have a credit scoring model that uses a ton of analytical data, has this type of backup in terms of fair credit and fair demographics across the board. Now challenge how me making this decision is not in the best interest of all regulations. And I think that's a huge defensive position that Zest also gave us. We knew we were doing it right, but there's a big difference between saying you're doing it right and having the documentation that you're doing it right. For us, Zest is about, again, making better decisions, but also making them certainly more expedited. And that is our biggest piece that we're hoping to get out of Zest. Zest right now is going to allow us to make different decisions, right? We're going to start making different decision patterns. We're going to see that for the first 6 months or so. But at the same time, with the expedited decisioning model that we're going to put in place through our policies, we're now having the ability to be able to take somebody who walks in, and if that Zest score comes in and it's got a less than 5% margin of loss, we're going to expedite that thing directly through. We're not going to sit and have the member go, hey, you know what? I need you to give me your first child. I'm not going to ask you for everything under the sun in order to make a decision to give you $3,000. You don't need me to ask for all that because your score already indicates that. And by using the model at the same time that we put the expedited in, we're setting a trend line. We're saying this is the line in the sand. This is how we did lending before. This is how we do lending now. And that lending is on the basis of this analytical thought process rather than the sole dependency on the loan officer. And I hate to remove the human element, but I'm not going to remove it. I want the human element now to be in service of the member element rather than just being in service of the decision element. So there was a really important reason. It's the relationship that Zest has with the California Credit Union League. I've been part of the league since my dad was a chairman in 1998, but I literally have grown up with the league, and the league has some of my closest friends, and it's one of the organizations and associations that I truly believe in. And they presented Zest at the Shapiro Summit, which is a summit I had a hand in actually creating way back in 2000 and we started the summit in 2009, I believe, when I was on the Shapiro committee. And that endorsement is a huge step in telling me that this is a company that has the relationships with credit unions that matter to me. I want to have a relationship with people that understand the values of credit unions and what the member concept is and what the not-for-profit financial cooperative model means. I want to be working with those people. And so when the league allowed you guys to present at Shapiro, it was great. And the story goes, I literally was probably one of the last people out of the room. I walked up to the rep, I said, I'll be your first client. And he turned around and was like, what do you mean? I said, no, I'm committed. And it was that level of commitment because I understand the model. I understand where we're trying to go with the technology. I don't need an endorsement beyond what the California Credit Union League was providing me. And then all the due diligence only supported that direction. Think of it as an analytical tool would be my first thing to say. A lot of the smaller credit unions, one of the things that we really struggle with is value over investment. So how much can we invest and what are we going to get back from it? But we all too often fail to understand that the investment is not just about dollars earned immediately, but about what dollars are earned organically over time. And the simple fact is that if we can make more loans to members that are of a lower credit score, okay, in better terms, we will ultimately see long-term gains that aren't initially viable, but show over time gains for the organization. And that's what we're betting on. You have to be betting on the future of your organization first to have a vision of the future. I always hold up my phone. Do you understand that this was invented in 2007? And they go, no, it wasn't, it was years ago. No, it was 16 years ago. That's it. They go, well, I said, there are children in high school that are still in high school before this was invented. But this is modern day technology has changed everything about how we operate. Nobody operates without their phone today. That's 16 years. When the television was introduced, it revolutionized communication away from radio, right? Radio went to television, television went to cable, cable went to digital, digital's gone to phones, digital's everywhere streaming. If we're not embracing the technology of where the future is going, we will find ourselves on the path backwards rather than forwards. And technology investment is not about what you're going to be able to do with it sometimes immediately, but more importantly, what is it you're getting your knowledge and understanding of so that the next form of technology that's going to come. So what we look at is we look at analytical information or AI technology as a way to start getting in the direction in the safest way that we feel comfortable. And then we build more comfort and more comfort and more comfort so that the next technology comes along, we're ready for it. So technology is that meshing point between growth and your future. Because if you're not embracing the technology, you're going to have a harder time growing over time because the cost basis for what you want to grow will become harder and harder unless you're offsetting by using technology to make yourself more efficient and more cost effective.